Kara chutney also. But very interestingly, it was not so hot, romba orakila. So the question was, why was it not so hot? Okay, so that was a question that came to my mind, and I'm going to have your help address that. Shall we? Sorry? No, okay, so if it's a hybrid variety, you are not going to have it is not going to be. What happened? So if it is hybrid, then it is not so hot. Okay, any other reason why it probably is not hot? Sorry? Is it? In the chutney. So let's forget about the chutney. Then I took the chili and ate it. Okay, and it was not so hot. It's so little? No, I had the same size. Because of fertility of soil. Okay, so the soil, you mean to say the soil in which this chili was grown affected the hotness, okay, soil nutrients. Then, sorry, somebody was telling. Problem with me, maybe I am not feeling it. Yeah, that's possible, right? So it could be that I do not feel it so hot. So what I did, okay, I'll put it down. So maybe it is because of me. Any other reasons? Deficiency. So this one has some deficiency in micro or macronutrients. Okay. So can we put that together with hybrid varieties? So hybrid varieties have different constituents. So hybrid varieties, different constituents. Okay. Then less amount of capsaicin. So it comes under this different constituents, right? Agreed? Who said that? Yeah. So will you agree if I put it under this category? Okay. Any other reason? Sorry? No, that's what I said. I actually tested it. I just took the chili and ate it, and I still didn't feel it hot. So chutney is ruled out. Any other possibilities? Yeah, tell, it's okay. I didn't eat it. No, this is a new one. I just bought it to show it. So I did eat. No, let's focus on what could be the possibilities. Any other factors that you think will contribute to the chili, the hotness of chili? So what I am looking for is factors that contribute to the hotness of the chili. Any other that you can think of? No? Maybe I didn't water it properly when it was grown. Maybe the farmer didn't water it properly. Or maybe there was not adequate sunlight. Possible? Anything more? Do you agree? This could be possible. So I'm going to add water. So these are some things that I can think of. Anything else that you want to add? Is that all? Okay. Now the question, okay, let's, so what we have done is we have identified the factors, the possible factors that might contribute to the hotness of the chili. Now how do we go about actually figuring out which is the factor that causes the hotness of the chili? no, among these factors, so you said these are all the factors that might contribute to the hotness of the chili, agreed? Is everybody clear with that? Now my question is, so these are possibilities. Now I am asking how do we prove that, okay, this is the factor, or this is the factor, or this is the factor? How do we prove it? Huh? Sorry? Hybrid. What hybrid? Experimentally you have to do. So what kind of experiments will you do? So experiment is correct, but what kind of experiments will you do? Okay, can you elaborate? So what she says is we have to do some experiments. So she says we have to do some experiments, and she is going to elaborate on more on what kind of experiments do you think that need to be done. So you said something, tell it again. Okay, so basically you are saying so there should be only one group of plants where we have adequate of that nutrients, and then you taste it. Okay, so we have one group of plants, chili plants, and you provide adequate nutrients. This is what you are saying, right? And then after it grows, you taste it, and then you still say nothing. It does not. It is not chili. There are two possibilities. So it is not hot, or it is hot. Now, if it is not hot, what is your conclusion? Sorry? That factor has not contributed. But you have not accounted for any of these factors. Are these constant? Are these factors constant? In this group, do you get my question? In this group, the only thing we have made sure is the nutrients that you suspected to be deficient, the nutrients that you suspected to be deficient, you are providing it in adequate amounts. But you have not considered about the other factors at all. I am not talking about capsicum, I am talking about only chili. Yeah. Yeah, okay, but what I mean here is that the constituents of the chili, okay, that is the only difference. I am not talking about variety difference, which is what you are talking as hybrids. The kodamalaga, in the malaga, and the variety difference I am not talking about. I am talking about this chili only. And when I am growing it in the soil, maybe there was different nutrients in the soil. Okay, so maybe let us say fertilizers, potassium kammiya irundhathu, adanala vandu chili vandu hotness kammiya irundhathu. You get it? So in that case, let us say you presume that you have potassium very less, so you add lot of potassium inside, and then you make an observation. You taste the chili after it comes up, okay, and then there are two possibilities. One, it is hot, the other is it is not hot, right. So based on this, but you have not, what I am saying is you have not accounted for the subjectivity that comes here, the factor of water, whether I poured more water or less water, or did I have adequate amount of sunlight or not. We have not, accounted for all that. So the design here is not complete. Agreed? The design of the experiment is not complete. Agreed? So how do you improve this? Keep all the other factors constant. Okay. So what are the factors that you want to keep constant? Okay, let me take so one by one. I'll go with the easiest one. I'll take sunlight. I get your point, but I'm just going to choose a different factor. So what he says is take one of the factors and look for the variations and then correlate it with the hotness of the chili. Okay. So I'm going to take a simple case, sunlight, and I'm going to have one group of plant again. Is it going to be one group of plant? No. Is it going to be one group of plants, or are you going to have 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups? 2 groups. No, it's a group na ore malaga chedi da. No difference in that. Okay, the same variety. But see, if I have to say that sunlight is causing the hotness of the chili, then what I have to have, if I just have lot of light passing on the lot of light falling on the plant, is that alone enough to conclude that the sunlight is the factor that is causing the hotness of the chili? Exactly. So you need to have a control group. Agreed? So we need at least 2 groups. Is it not? So we have 2 groups, group 1 and group 2, and here we provide adequate sunlight, okay, and here we provide inadequate sunlight. Now what can you infer from this? Sunlight is a causal factor for the hotness of the chili, right? So if G1 is having high hotness, then what do you infer? Sunlight is a factor? You cannot infer that. You will have to compare G1 with G2 to make the inference, is it not? Just by tasting G1 alone, you cannot make the inference. Agree? So which is why we need the 2 groups. Okay? So we need a control group to make sure or to confidently say that one of this factor is essential or is the causal factor. Okay. Now consider this scenario where we have water also coming in. So you need to check for this factor also, right? So how will you design the experiment now? So we have 2 different factors, water and sunlight. Now how will you design the experiment? Okay, so shall I? So how many groups of plants will you need? 4. Okay. Yeah, I'll just write it as adequate and inadequate, means the same. So we'll have G2, G3, G4, right? So what are the possible outcomes? So we'll take one by one. Let's say if G1 and G2 are hotter than G3 and G4, what will be your conclusion? Water is a causal factor. Why do you say that? So what we see is G1 and G2 are hotter. So in G1 and G2, what is adequate? Water is adequate. In G3 and G4, water is inadequate. So if you have inadequate water, you have lesser hotness. Or if you have adequate sunlight, yeah, you have addition G1, G2, right? Yeah, you have adequate, no. This is adequate water, is it not? This is adequate water, this is adequate sunlight, right? So G1 and G2 are hotter. So if you have adequate water, you will have hot chilies. What are the other possibilities? Let me put it, G1 and G3 is hot than G2 and G4. What is your conclusion? Sunlight, you need adequate sunlight to have hot chilies. Okay, all of you are following it? Yeah? Okay. Now, let me tell you that G1, G2, G3 are hotter than G4. Now, what is your inference? Both sunlight and water. No, let us read it carefully. This G1, G2 and G3 are hotter than G4. G4 is not at all hot. Either one has to be present in adequate quantities. So that will be your inference. Good. Now, if G4 is hotter than G1, G2, G3, what is it? Both of them are not causal factors. Okay, so so both of them are not the causal factors. Okay, so then you will go on to include the next variable. Agreed? Yes? So likewise, that's how we build an experimental design. So you have, initially we had this hypothesis, or we were just wondering about a question. Why is this chili not hot? And we came up with experimental designs, right? And or rather we first made a list of possible factors, or this is called hypothesis. I am hypothesizing that the water causes, if I don't have adequate water, then my chili is not that hot. If I do not have adequate sunlight, then I do not have hotness in the chili. So this is my hypothesis. Okay, and to test these hypotheses, we designed some experiments how to do it, right? So always we need a control group, is it not? So it is not just that you can bombard a lot of sunlight and then take the chili and eat, but you should also have a control group where you do not give lot of sunlight. Only upon comparison of these two, you can make the inference. Agreed? And then now we tested two hypotheses and we saw that any of these possibilities can happen. Agreed? So, this is what is experimental design. Now, as you go further, you can add more of the factors, but we prefer to start with one or two variables, vary one at a time, systematically vary the other, right. So, in this case, what did we do? In G1, we kept both water and sunlight adequate. In G2, we kept water adequate, varied only the sunlight, right. And in the G3, what did we do? We kept sunlight adequate and water inadequate. And in G4, we kept both, yeah. So, systematically, if we vary the variables, then we will be able to confidently infer the causal factor. Agreed? So, this is what is experimental design. This is how we design experiments for research or for any purposes. Okay? Okay, good. Now, how do we tackle this question? Because of me. Sorry? You can take? Survey, okay. The point is subjectivity. They said maybe I am telling a lie or maybe I am perceiving it not so hot. So, how do we rule that out?
I might say it is hot and you might say it is not hot.
Yeah. So, in that case, how do we deal with it? Take many chilies and make me eat. But how does that tell about the subjectivity that my perception is wrong or right? Because, huh? Okay. Take the average, so what many people say, that is what you will choose. Okay. Any other answers? That's the same answer. Okay. Anything else? Can you elaborate?
We measure the concentration of capsaicin in chili to find out how hot it is.
But how do you correlate that? That I should say it is hot or not?
Yes, but that depends on.
Yeah, it will vary from me and somebody else, right?
Yeah.
So, how do we account for it?
I don't have proper answer. We can have some chemical test.
No, that's fine, but what I am saying is, let us say we measure the capsaicin amount, the quantity of capsaicin in the chili. Let us say it is a few milligrams per something or something like that concentration, and you give it to me and I say it is not hot, and I give it to you, give it to somebody else, and that person says it is hot. Now, whom do you trust, or how do you correlate it? Average, okay. Any other answers? You will eat, but how do I know that you are the standard? Okay, since the judgment is based upon you, okay, okay. So, whatever you feel is right, that is what you say, that is how you will set the standard, okay. Any other answers?
She has any problem with when so another survey will be on.
Yeah. No, what he is trying to say is there is still some sort level of subjectivity in it.
The dominance is the problem.
Pardon?
Should be the correct.
Sorry?
The dominance should be the correct.
The normal
The dominance should be the correct.
dominance. I mean, what does a large population say? But how large will you survey? 100 people? 200? 300? 1000? Huh? But so how do we decide that? So we need to think about that also, right? Yeah. Yeah, of course. But that's why he says, let's go for a population sampling. So you go in and ask several people. Sorry? Come again? Yeah, it will differ. So now the question is, how do we tackle the issue? We still have to tackle the issue, right? So this factor is there. How do we tackle it?